Croydon has added a lot of new buses over time, but one question keeps coming up. Are these buses becoming too expensive for the average player to unlock? Now, expensive buses doesn't always mean it's bad, because expensive buses give players something to work for. Like in British Railway, for example. The Class 800 series was 4,000 points. More expensive than usual, but the grinding is definitely worth it for you to grind for the trains, especially because the game has less vehicles. And after all that grinding you do to get the bus, it feels way more rewarding because you know you put a lot of work to get the bus, and rare vehicles make progression interesting. The problem isn't that the buses are expensive, it's whether the grind feels worth it. However, some newer buses require a lot of grinding because of the insane prices. The Citaro costs 24,000 points. One thing I've been wondering is how long a player should realistically have to grind for a single bus. Obviously, expensive buses aren't a bad thing because they give players something to work towards. But if unlocking one vehicle starts taking weeks of repetitive grinding, progression can start to feel like more of a chore than an achievement. Now, another thing worth considering is whether every new bus should be an end game vehicle. Having premium or high cost buses makes sense, but if almost every new release is aimed at players with huge amounts of credits, newer and more casual players can start feeling left behind. Thankfully, this doesn't really happen because the new cadet update is actually considering the newer players, as the buses are cheaper and some players with the old bus can immediately access the new bus, but they didn't do that with the Enviro 400 EV. Anyway, however, bus prices are only half of the discussion. The other half is how quickly players are actually able to earn the credits. Now in a rush hour, if you follow the steps, then you can get around 1,000 credits on a route like the 198, which is 20 to 30 minutes on. Now that would be okay if the bus prices wasn't so high and it doesn't take so long to save up for a Generation 2 or a decent looking bus. If buses keep getting expensive, then the reward system has to also be a lot more generous and a lot more rewarding. And to even get 1,000 credits, you need at least the max amount of points per passenger. Now, the developers have mentioned that some players have hundreds and thousands of points, so higher bus prices doesn't really affect them as much. And eventually, if there are many variants of the buses being released, their points would deplete. So they need something to grind for, and it makes sense because if you've been playing for years, you might have more points than the usual player. However, newer players are in a completely different position. While they can grind for cheaper Gen 1 buses, what happens if they want the newer Gen 2 buses? That's why progression starts becoming more difficult, especially if you don't have enough points per passenger. Newer buses, except the cadet buses, cost a significant amount of credits, and it would take a while to reach their dream buses. Or experienced players, that might not be a problem. But for someone starting out, it could feel like a huge wall to climb. Rather than simply reducing every bus price, I think a better solution would be improving progression itself. Expensive buses aren't necessarily the problem. It's either the grind towards them feel rewarding or worth it. One way Croydon could improve progression is by introducing more ways to earn credit. At the moment, most players are doing the same routes repeatedly, which can make grinding feel repetitive. Events, challenges, or even daily login points for points. Or other reward system could help make progression feel more engaging. Another option could be adjusting rewards for longer routes. If players are spending more time completing a route, it would make sense for rewards to be a much higher amount. Overall, I don't think every bus should be cheap. Having goals is important in a progression-based game. However, Croydon should make sure that earning those buses remains enjoyable rather than feel like a chore. Anyways, that is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.